Somewhere between midnight and memory, between the identity you defend and the truth you forgot, there is a door. A man walks through that door one morning and finds the world has forgotten him. Not just his name, but his entire existence. This is the Twilight Zone. But it's also the mind. The dreaming mind. And in Season 3, Episode 27, Person or Persons Unknown, we don't just watch a story. We watch the ego unravel on camera. What if no one recognized you? And that was the miracle. The ego's breakdown. In Persons or Persons Unknown. This is not a story about a man being erased. It's a story about a lie being exposed. A lie so deeply believed that when it cracks, the whole dream trembles. David Gurney wakes up next to a woman who doesn't know him. Walks into a job he's worked for years, only to be told he's never been there. Calls his mother, his best friend, anyone. But the dream characters stop playing their part. And in the ego's courtroom, that's insanity. He says, "I know who I am." But the world refuses to affirm it, and the ego calls that madness. This is the ego's worst fear. Not death, but erasure. Because death at least gets a funeral. But erasure, that's spiritual exposure. To the ego, being forgotten is worse than being hated. Because being hated still means you're real. Everything Gurney thought proved he existed, his marriage certificate, his job title, the bartender who knows his drink, is gone. And what's left when the mirrors don't reflect? Nothing. Just the raw panic of a self that never was. He clutches at evidence. Call Pete. Ask my mother. Check the photo. The ego is a hoarder of proof. But even when the miracle arrives, a photograph of him and his wife at the zoo, it too dissolves. She isn't there. The picture once full becomes empty. The past he swore was real folds in on itself. Because when the present is corrected, the past has no meaning. And then the doctor says it out loud. You invented him. Whether whole cloth or based on people you've met, you made him up. The dream character you're defending never existed. You wrote the script. And now you're upset the actors won't perform it anymore. This is a course in miracles in prime time. The ego is a patchwork of personas, spun from trauma, desire, memory, and guilt. And none of it is you. None of it was ever you. Gurney is strapped to a metaphor. His name itself a symbol. Gurney, the stretcher. The thing you wheel when someone can't walk on their own. That's what ego identity is. A crippled belief in form, always being wheeled around by perception, never standing on truth, never resting in the stillness of what cannot be named. And the deeper he goes, the more absurd it gets. Winston Churchill in the next room. Faces that once loved him, now turning away. The bartender who served him for years saying, "I've never seen you before." Even the private mind collapses. His secret bar? Not secret. His private thoughts? Not protected. The ego says, "This part is mine." The spirit says, "There is no part." What you think you've hidden is the very thing keeping you bound. The dream is imploding, and yet, he insists, we were together. We were together. We were together. A chant to hold the illusion in place. A mantra for a marriage that only existed in memory. A memory that only existed to prove he was real. But the photo proves it. Or does it? Because when they look, she's not in it. Only he is. And now he's terrified by what's missing. He wakes up again. She's back. The wife is restored. The nightmare is over. Until he notices her hair. She's blonde now. And the unraveling is starting over. The ego doesn't die. It loops. And every time the dream seems to reset, it's just another dream within the dream. He was never crazy. He was waking up. But to the world, awakening looks like madness. Because when the dream collapses, so does the one who dreamed it. Gurney didn't lose his life. He lost the lie. And that's what salvation looks like. Not being remembered, but finally remembering. And here's the miracle. What if no one recognized you, and that was the miracle? What if every script you ever gave them finally burned? What if they stopped playing their parts, and what you call betrayal was actually freedom? The miracle isn't that they forget. The miracle is that you're finally free to remember what's real. You were never that person at all. You were the dreamer, not the dream. And when you forget the dream, you remember yourself, the light behind the mirror, the silence behind the noise, the truth behind all perception. There is nothing the world can show you that means anything. There is no identity that survives awakening. And that's not the tragedy. That's the release. What you made to be seen will disappear, but what sees cannot be touched. And it waits patiently, in the stillness where no one ever left. David Gurney was never erased. He was never forgotten. He simply woke up in a world that stopped echoing his dream, a world that refused to reflect the false. And in that refusal, he discovered something terrifying to the ego and liberating to the soul. That the only identity worth keeping is the one that can't be taken. That the face of love doesn't wear a name tag. And that the silence you fear might be the truth you forgot. Mr. Gurney came looking for a mirror. What he found was a miracle. He walked into the Twilight Zone and out of a nightmare.